I've got a fun night planned with the girls. We're having a clothing exchange. So I thought I'd make some healthy snacks. I made Japanese gyoza dumplings with a nice dipping sauce I'll whip up in just a little while. And then for those who are craving something sweet, I've got maple baked apple bites. And they're kind of playing on the potato chip idea because sometimes you need something crunchy when you're snacking. And the last thing I'm going to make are wild rice stuffed tomatoes. So I'm just getting my tomatoes ready and I've got my wild rice cooking. I'm actually going to make a risotto and stuff these cocktail tomatoes. So I'll let those dry for a moment. And I have some wild rice cooking over here. But what I did first was follow the technique that you follow with making risotto, in that I seared it first in a little bit of oil, and that brought out such a nuttiness, and I can smell it now. I added chicken stock and cooked the wild rice. It takes a long time. It takes about 30-40 minutes, and that's why I cook it separately than the risotto, because now it's cooked, and I can add it at the very end of cooking the risotto itself. A little bit of olive oil. And I'll start with a little chopped onion, actually finely minced onion, because I want all the vegetables finely cut to fill in the tomatoes. And I'll start this sweating in the pan, just on medium heat. Because this is such a small amount, I don't even need a full stalk of celery or a whole carrot, but just a couple tablespoons worth. Seriously? That's all the carrot I'm going to need. I'll start by making a julienne cut, that long matchstick. And this fine dice actually has a name. It's called a brunoise. Oh, I love the smell of mirepoix. And that's the name for this onion, celery, carrot combination. And I cook that until the onions are translucent. So it takes a few minutes. I need some white wine. I'll finish with Asiago cheese, and I've got chicken stock. All right. So I can tell the vegetables are ready because the onions are translucent. And now I'll add just a small amount of arborio rice. It's a short grain rice that has a lot of starch to it. And it's important to use good quality arborio or carnaroli rice. And what you have to do, this is an important step, is actually coat the rice and cook it for a moment in the oil that's in the pan so that you can control, by adding small amounts of liquid, how the starch cooks out of the rice, and that's gradually. So it's important to first give it a good coating. There, I can feel that the rice is just starting to pull on the bottom of the pot, so that means I'm ready for the first flood. And I like to use white wine for the first flood. The acidity helps it along, the rice immediately sucks it up, and I'll bring that up to a simmer. I never want it to boil vigorously, just a gentle simmer. And so how do you tell when it's time to add more liquid? When the first flood of liquid, you can see it's starting to thicken. When it's not completely evaporated, but it's just starting to pull from the bottom of the pot, then it's time to add some more. So now I'll add a splash of chicken stock. So while that has that flood in it, I'll add some fresh thyme and some fresh sage leaves. Now here's a sign that I'm craving fall flavors. Fresh thyme and fresh sage together. It's time for another flood with the chicken broth. While that continues to cook, I'll grate some Asiago cheese that gets added only at the very end because it melts, it helps bind the risotto together and adds flavor. One more addition of stock should do it. So now I can add the wild rice with that nice nutty, toasty chicken stock. Heat that back up. I'm going to add some chopped dried cranberry and some toasted pumpkin seeds. In that goes just a little bit of everything. Pumpkin seed. It's amazing how the fragrance of the risotto completely changes as soon as I add the wild rice. I'll add the cheese. All right, put it in a bowl. That way it can cool just a little bit while I'm filling the tomatoes. I recall doing this not too long ago with the pork filling for the gyoza. Making risotto is always worthwhile. And then all I have to do to serve this is pop it in the oven for 5 minutes. I'll heat up a little tomato sauce to go with it, and they'll be ready to eat. But to cap off the look, a little jaunty hat for each of them. Well, I'm hungry. I know the girls will be famished when they arrive. I think it's a good trade. They bring me clothes, and I'll feed them. That's a good deal.